If nothing else, the end of Oak Street proves that the men's combo of short shorts, terry cloth polos, and tube socks should never make a comeback. The Platt family bands together to navigate their new surroundings after a cosmic event transports their suburban neighborhood to someplace unknown. We got Anne Hathaway, Ewan McGregor, Maisie Stella, who was in My Old Ass, and Christian Convery from Netflix's Sweet Tooth, starring in this sci-fi adventure pursuit about a neighborhood that wakes up to find itself somehow dropped into a place they're no longer familiar with and now have to figure out how to survive the onslaught of creatures intent on devouring them. This is built out to be a summer adventure blockbuster that's filled with chases, suspense, some mild fear, and exciting special effects. And while all of those things are present within the movie, all the elements don't combine to totally hit the mark. There's a patience to the beginning of the movie where we get to spend time with the Platt family before anything wonky starts to happen. And this is kind of rare for stories today, taking the time to build a connection before plunging the characters into whatever situation sits at the center of the storytelling. And I appreciate that here. It instantly creates this small but present feeling of tension. There's strife building that is in direct contrast with the happy neighborhood block party celebration that's taking place, building this sense of unease that's very different from the anxiety that's about to take over within the plot. Now, the dynamics within the family, they're palpable, and they don't feel forced or contrived. Instead, using the discordance to create realism, where no family is completely devoid of any sort of conflict. Hathaway and McGregor, they're great together. They have this banter and timing that is natural, creating a dramatic bond between them and us that extends any discomfort beyond just the craziness that they're about to experience. And when there is action within this, it's exciting and energetic, with a good amount of butt-puckering suspense, too. The chases are taut and they feel dangerous, leaning heavily on the actions and formulas of a certain Steven Spielberg early 90s blockbuster to deliver some familiar stress. And that's part of the fun of this movie. We kind of know what to expect in terms of creature behaviors without it feeling as though it's just a Xerox of that famous part gone awry. And as far as effects and creature creations go, this looks excellent. The texturing is imaginative and unique, and it's probably more biologically accurate than anything else we've ever seen on screen. The movements, shadowing, even sounds, they're all convincing and disconcerting. I don't remember any issues with the CGI, even when there were interactions with people that were most certainly computer generated, just simply due to all the actions. And with tension and the creation of mild fear, the story knows how to introduce some freaky elements that can make you jump a bit and tense your muscles, almost like you're holding your breath along with the characters so that nothing hears the panicked breathing and then decides to munch down on anybody. And don't hear me say, though, that this is scary. I mean, it's pretty tame as far as scares go. From that perspective, it sits quite comfortably in its PG-13 rating. It's not overdoing the violence, but it's also not shying away from the carnage when it's actually called for. This is definitely more suspenseful, though, than fear-inducing. I even appreciate the peril the family's placed in. There are some real stakes at play where the survivability of everyone is in question. And that's a great emotion to insert within the storytelling. Not only can we feel afraid for the family because we've gotten to know them through some well-built development, but because the time with them isn't rushed, we form this connection. We don't want to see any of them get chomped. But with all that being said, there is a MacGuffin included that looks at the peril and the stakes, and then it just kind of creates a sort of a mulligan, which then removes that aforementioned stakes. But for as great as each of these portions is individually, the film still runs into an issue where it doesn't quite know what to do in the moments between all the action. There's a noticeable halt to the tension when any family member isn't being pursued or threatened. Now, I'm all for having some quieter moments because if the whole thing is just pure chase, it gets kind of old or bland and then it loses its effect. Here, when the slower moments appear, the tension is discarded, almost as though the story can only be anxiety-ridden when somebody's being hunted. This created a choppy and uneven pacing, which then led to the film feeling way longer than it actually is. It's only 99 minutes, and it felt like it was over 2 hours. And despite feeling long, the emotion I more walked away with at the very end was that this was just a fine movie. I had fun for a lot of it. I really enjoyed the chase and the stalking of the characters. The acting is engaging, and it contains enough surprises to keep it feeling like a unique story despite it sharing elements with both a Steven Spielberg film and a Stephen King novel. The imagery, it's immersive and excellently conveyed, and for as complex as the impetus for what occurs can be, it's explained in a relatively simple manner, albeit with a bit of an exposition dump. The pacing and overall impression of the movie would have been stronger had there been a more consistent balance of pressure through the loud and quiet bits. It's still a fun watch, but if you're going into this thinking it's going to be some spectacular blockbuster sci-fi adventure, you may want to temper your expectations just a bit. There's sex, but not of the human kind, no nudity, some profanity, and a lot of violence. I give The End of Oak Street 3.5 out of 5 couches. Okay, so are you into sci-fi? What's the best sci-fi movie ever made? Let me know what you think in the comments below. If you enjoyed this review, please give it a like. Also, don't forget to share and subscribe. I'm Chris. This is Movies and Munchies. Thanks for couching.